Welcome back to the Frontlines of Kerbin, everyone. Before we turn our attention to turns 2 and 3, I have a few quick announcements. First, regarding the release schedule, I will be sticking to a bi-weekly schedule with new episodes releasing on Fridays as best as I can, just like today. So the next episode will be live in 2 weeks, though that is subject to change. I could get sick, something may happen. I will let you guys know as soon as possible. I will also be releasing the full campaign map in this video, complete with all the names of the 40 operating bases and cities, and you'll find a link to that in the description, which should help you follow along with the strategic movements much better. One final note, starting with this episode, I installed Blackrack's Volumetric Clouds mod. This will add a new visual dimension to the series, including dynamic weather. I want to make this series as cinematic as possible, but like the classic series Fall of Kerbin, I will still be showing the UI here and there for strategic clarity. Let me know what you think of that balance down in the comments. And with that, let's head into turn 2. It gets spicy. Acting on intelligence from the last turn, General Corey makes an executed decision. She orders all fighters and interceptors from Fort Heckmack to move and land at Grid Square E8, directly south of Golania's Outpost Aurelia. An immediate assault on the FOB seems imminent. Meanwhile, on the ground, the new units from Serene and Barca moved to join the main armor force at F11, consolidating their power once more. As they moved, you could see a storm brewing over the Golanian territories, a fitting visual for the storm to come. And this concludes General Corey's movement. We now turn to General Mavis of Golania for her response. The first move from Mavis is to send a scout from Outpost Aurelia to investigate Grid E9 to see what Ashkar is doing. However, it will have to fly through E8 to get there, where Corey's entire air force is waiting. I will let this video speak for itself. Overseer Lance, out. Golania's air scout was shot down, but the garrison managed to fend off Ashkar's attack, thanks to a large part for the static anti-air emplacements. However, that battle did highlight a balance issue. The armor on these emplacements is far too strong. I've already designed a new, more balanced version, which will be rolled out across the board by turn 4. With her northern scout gone, Mavis moves to her eastern airbase, the GS-3 Owl from Fort Kestrel is dispatched to Grid H8. This patrol route will give it a clear view of Ashkar's own forward operating base, Outpost Skimitar. Scouts like the Owl are active spotters. They only reveal enemy units during their movement phase, preventing them from providing overpowered passive intelligence. As the Owl returns to Fort Kestrel, its intelligence is relayed to General Mavis, which will inform her production choices and her plans for Turn 3. On the ground, the new armored units from Resmir advance to join the main task force at E6. At the same time, the units from Foulwharf push forward to join the column at C6, and a new squad from Ironvale moves south to G5. This concludes the movement phase for Turn 2. We will now go right into the production phase. Back with Ashkar, General Corey, devastated by the loss of her entire air wing, spends a significant portion of her points to immediately replace them, ordering 2 AF-10 Vipers and 2 AI-6 Strixes. Some of these will be piloted by our own recent subscribers and commenters. Welcome to the war. At Outpost Skimitar, Corey commissions a single AB-4 Firebrand Light Bomber. And in Serene, she continues to reinforce the central column with 2 AA-2 Sandstorm anti-air tanks and another AT-40 Viper. The strategy creating one massive static force is something I'm beginning to question. A force that doesn't move is a target, if you ask me. I may have to intervene if this continues. Production also begins in a new location, the city of Dazara at D14, which builds 2 AD-47 Phantom tank destroyers. It's finally good to see some variety. Back in Barca, a single AS-3 Scorpion self-propelled gun is built, hiding behind this building, ready to provide a nasty surprise if it ever comes. Over to Galandia, at the now battle-scarred outpost Aurelia, Mavis orders 2 GF-12 Falcons and 2 GI-7 Raptors to replace her combat losses. At Fort Kestrel, acting on her scout's new intel, she builds a strike package of 2 GB-5 Thunderhawk light bombers and 1 GF-12 Falcon. At Camp Sentinel also receives air reinforcements, 2 new GI-7 Raptors. And on the ground, it's business as usual. Lesmere produces 2 more GT-7 Paladins and 1 GT-3 Lancer. And with that, the brutal logistics of war are complete. Both sides have licked their wounds, replenished the forces, and are preparing for the next engagement. Turn 2 is over. We now move into Turn 3. Back with Ashkar for Turn 3 movement phase. General Corey orders the new units from Serene and Barca to once again merge with the massive ground force at F11. While this column now has some mobile anti-air cover, it remains a dangerously concentrated target. A single well-placed bombing run could inflict devastating losses. They are, for now, sitting ducks, if you ask me. To the west, and the city of Dazara, Corey's 2 new tank destroyers advance to Grid D13, slowly moving to secure the flank of Fort Heckmack. And speaking of Fort Heckmack, Corey commits to another reconnaissance run with her AS-2 Coyote. As the plane flies its patrol route to E8, let me clarify how scouting works. The scout reveals a 3x3 grid centered on its destination, so by flying to E8, it can see everything from D7 to F9, as shown on the screen here. After completing its flight, the scout returns, relaying the updated composition of Galandia's force at Outpost Aurelia. With Ashkar's reconnaissance and consolidation completed, we now move to General Mavis, and this is going to be one hell of a turn. General Mavis, acting on the intelligence from her own scout, orders Operation Eastern Tempest. She is combining the entire air forces of Fort Kestrel and Camp Sentinel into one massive armada to strike Outpost Skimitar. Now I'll be frank, this was a complex sequence to film, and it took several takes to get the aircraft to cooperate. The opening cinematic of this episode was a direct preview of this very attack. Let us see it unfold. A decisive victory for Galandia. They had successfully destroyed the garrison at Outpost Skimitar. And full disclosure, the gang crashed on the final kill. I took a screenshot of the surviving Galandian aircraft and have placed them at the now captured base to reflect the accurate outcome. Galandia has now begun the capturing process. Per the rules, they must hold this base for one full turn. This means turn 3 does not count as the start. The entirety of turn 4 will be the hold phase. If they can maintain control of this hold, the base will become fully theirs at the start of turn 5, allowing them to spawn units there. Until then, Ashkar is completely locked out of this position. Capitalizing on her success, Mavis orders the ground units from E6 to move and to reinforce Outpost Aurelia. We now have not just planes, but tanks at this critical forward operating base. These are the aggressive moves I've been waiting for. Similarly, the units at G5 advance to occupy Fort Kestrel, turning it into another hardened position. With that, the dynamic movement phase of turn 3 is complete. We go back to General Corey, who, enraged by the loss of Outpost Skimitar, unleashes an unprecedented production order at Camp Zephyr. She commissions 6 fighters and 6 interceptors, plus 1 more scout plane, and a massive effort to regain control of the skies. And now for Galandia's spending, General Mavis, smelling blood in the water, orders Westmere to create a huge new take force. 4 GT7 Paladins, 1 GD5 Hunter, and 2 GT3 Lancers. At Fort Kestrel, she adds a GB5 Thunderhawk and 2 Falcon Fighters to her new strike fleet. And the city of Foulworth, 1 GT7 Paladin and 1 GD5 Hunter are ordered to reinforce the Western Front. This concludes Turn 3 and Episode 2 of the series. We witnessed the first major battle a bold air assault that has completely changed strategic landscape. Next episode, we head into turns 4 and 5, which could see the arrival of the first mid-air upgrades, perhaps even a wonder weapon. I'll also be implementing some rule changes to address issues like the stagnant armies, because I am sure you want to see action as much as I do. As always, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with the new rules I proposed? Do you want to be part of the front lines like the commenters and subscribers in today's episode? Let me know down below. And if you don't want to miss any of the action, be sure to like and subscribe. This is Lance, signing out for the front lines of Kerbin.